Hello, everybody. Okay, so I have a profound message to share with everybody. This is huge. This is one of the messages that will literally change the world. So the thing is that everybody knows what's going on with the world with our children and the trafficking that's happening. Everybody knows it. Everybody's aware of it. So what can we do about it? And everybody's like, okay, well, we can't. It's almost like we're helpless because we feel like we can't do anything about it. But this is the message that I just got. We can do something about it, and God is going to do something about it, and this is what we're going to do. But we have to do this together, because we're not doing it together, it's not going to be as powerful as it can be. So we all have to do this together. So this is how God showed me how we can save our children from the horrific things that are happening to them right now. All right, here we go. Okay, so what God showed me is to first understand our own power, and then we get to use that power. So, and another thing that's coming to me is what He wants me to share is whatever we concentrate on, or whatever we focus on, is what persists. So if we're constantly focusing on the problem that we have, then we are actually making that more of a problem, because we're just focusing on the problem. So what we need to do is to use our power not to focus on the problem, but to fix the problem. And how we need to fix the problem is to focus on putting a protection shield over all the world's children that are in any kind of condition that they don't want to be in. And so what He showed me is a story actually that happened, or an experience I'm going to say, that happened to my sister Brandy. And it is an amazing experience that she had, where she was absolutely protected. And God showed me that, and He's like, we need to do this for our children. So instead of, next time you think about all the problems that are happening with our kids being hurt in our world right now, imagine that you putting a protection over all of our children. Like, feel the energy, almost like a blanket shield. They are shielded. They are shielded. They are protected. Imagine angels being around them. Imagine the light surrounding each and every one of them. Imagine them being able to walk into this light where the negative energy cannot follow them. And that is our shield that we can use. That is our power that we can use all together. And if all of us are doing the same thing, instead of focusing on the problem, what it is, if all of us, every single time we think about it, we put a shield over them. We imagine angels around them. We say, we rebuke you in the name of Jesus, right? We honestly just use your power to protect our children, and know that you have the power to do that. This is how God explained it to me, how powerful we are. And a lot of people don't really understand this. We are very powerful together. Completely, I mean, super powerful together. Like, I'm powerful just by myself, but all of us focusing on the same thing at one time together is like super powerful. It's called collective consciousness, and it makes things happen. And actually, that's why prayer works. Everybody's like, okay, well, sometimes prayer works and sometimes it doesn't. That's kind of another video. But one of the things that makes prayer work is because everybody is focusing on the same thing. And everybody's focusing on the same thing. What they are praying for is more likely going to happen, because there's so much energy putting in to what they know that's going to be happening. There's so much energy putting into that person being healed or whatnot, or whatever they're praying for. There's a lot of energy, and we do that together. This is how God explained to me about our unity, and the power of our unity, and the power of our collective consciousness. So He showed me a rope. Okay, so think of it like this: if you have one strand, obviously it's super weak, right? You can just pull it apart, no problem, right? So then put maybe 5 strands together, and it gets a little bit stronger, but it's still not super strong, right? Now add hundreds and hundreds of thousands of strands together, and then what's going to happen? It's going to be impossible to break. There's no way that anybody can break that. We are the rope. We can do this. We see, there's my sign right there. It's like confirmation. We are the rope, and we can do this together. Together, we can save our children of the world. We can do it, guys. Focus on putting the protection over them every single time. Don't focus on the problem. If we focus on the problem, we're allowing it to happen and we're losing our power. But as we focus on healing, protection, guidance, retracting that negative energy away, like there's no way that these people, these negative energies can follow our children. They can't hurt them. They can't, because we say that they can't, because we're not going to allow it to happen anymore, because we're going to come together and we're going to put a protection over them. So I'm going to share this story or the experience again that my sister had, and I think it just really perpetuates this idea that, or this message that God is sending to me, that we can all do this together, and we will. Our children are already saved. Yay. I'm so happy. Okay, it's on.
Okay.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, you just start telling it.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, I am ready. This is my story, about how, you know, the universe loves us. A long time ago, a couple years ago, I was doing drugs, and I was in a relationship with a man who also did drugs. And I'd broken up with this man, and he had called me to said he wanted to come over and talk. And I said, okay, because I still was kind of interested in him, but okay. And when he called me, he was like, fine, just let me put on my belt. And I didn't think anything of that. I was like, great. All right. And so he came over. And when he came over, I noticed that he had a sore on his arm. So I was like, oh, goodness, that needs to be tended to. So I went ahead and I got out all the stuff that I needed to go ahead and clean the wound and try to make it better. And we were talking. And right in the middle of me cleaning his wound, he suddenly grabs the antiseptic bottle from my hand and he pours it all over me. And then he starts attacking me. He starts beating me. He had a book bag with him, and in that book bag, there was an electric cord. And so he takes out the electric cord and he starts, hitting me with that. And I didn't have any defense because I lived on a 13-story apartment in a corner apartment. And the neighbors across the hall weren't home, and it was a corner apartment, so there's nobody to the right of me, and to the left of me was the elevator shaft, and we had concrete floors in this apartment building, so I know no one could hear me above, and no one could hear me on the bottom. I was basically completely by myself, and so I started, screaming, help, help, and hoping that someone could hear me. When it started, and then he started, basically beating me, and it's the first time that anybody's ever actually jumped up in the air and landed on me with their full body weight. And one of the worst parts that I can remember is this is an injury that actually hurt days after. Is I guess there's a pressure point that's right behind your ear that he kind of dug into, and so that really hurt. And then it got to the point where I was screaming and realizing that, oh, my neighbors across the hall aren't home. I live in a corner apartment. There's no one to the side, and I have concrete floors and ceilings. So there's nobody here. And so at one point he started to try to drag me from the bedroom that we were in into the bathroom that was just down the hall. And I knew that wasn't going to be good. I knew there was nobody around. And at that point, when he started to drag me towards the bathroom, I just kind of looked at him, and I just said, I not out loud, of course, but I rebuked him. I rebuked him. And as he was trying to drag me into the bathroom, suddenly he had trouble breathing. He started heaving, and he wasn't able to breathe. And on this apartment that I lived in, there were sliding glass doors that attached to the balcony. So when he wasn't able to breathe, of course, he let my leg go because he was no longer able to drag me. And then he went to the second bedroom where, a sliding glass door would have allowed him out to the balcony to get some fresh air. But I had a rod at the bottom of the sliding door, so that it wouldn't open. And so he tried to open it, and it wouldn't. And of course, he was out of breath, and he told me to open it. And without trying to sound too meek or not trying to sound too forceful, I simply told him no. No. And so he still couldn't breathe. And so then he went out to the living room where the other sliding glass door was at that accesses the balcony. Same thing there. There was a rod there that would prevent it from opening. And he didn't even ask me to open that one. But he still wasn't able to catch his breath. So he ended up sitting on the couch that was in the living room and sat down and tried to catch his breath. Well, while he was sitting there, I didn't know what to do, but I was like, let me go into the bedroom and let me grab his book bag that he brought in. Let me gather all the stuff that came out of the book bag during this kerfuffle and make sure he's got everything that is his. And I also kind of the stuff that I was trying to use to care for his wound, I put that with it, because I know that's just what I did. And so when I had gathered everything up and he was still on the couch, still trying to catch his breath, I went out to the living room and I sat it down next to him and I went back in the bedroom and I didn't know what else to do. There's nothing else I could do, and I waited a couple minutes and he came back there and I guess there was a knife that was in his backpack. I would have given that back to him too, but he had to come in there and threaten me one last time with his knife, with his labored breathing, saying that he was gonna, excuse the language, he was gonna cut my clit off, and that he was gonna find my nephew, who I really admire for his artwork, and cut off his hands. And after he was done threatening me, he left. And then when he left, I shut the door, I locked it, and then I went to the middle of my living room and I fell on my knees and I just thanked the Lord for protecting me because I wasn't able to protect myself that day. And it was and I never saw him again. He did call me once more and asked if he could meet me so he could give me a hug. And looking back, when he said that he just needed to put on his belt, that meant something different. And so when he called me the next time and said he wanted to give me a hug, I was like, no, thank you.
Right.
I didn't want a hug, and I never saw him again.
Right.
But it was just it's just a time in my life that I wasn't able to protect myself. But the universe somehow, some way, when I asked for him to be rebuked, he was rebuked. And I am thankful and
That's
I'm
awesome.
grateful.
All right.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
loved.
I know.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I love you. And thank you so much for telling your story.
I love you, Carol. I do.
Love you too. All right.